Hi there, it's Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies, and I'm here to share my portion of the program. And there are really two topics I want to talk about, two blunders that I see a lot of holistic practitioners making. The first is trying to appeal to everybody, and the second one is not making it safe enough for people to approach. So let's start at the beginning. With blunder number one, trying to appeal to everybody, it's important to realize that in business, when you look at potential clients, there are only three groups that those potential clients will ever fit into. The first category is going to be clients who are very responsive to what you do. You meet them, they're immediately interested, they're leaning in, they're asking questions, they're clearly at a point in their life where what you're offering is a fit, the way you're offering it is something that appeals to them, they're very responsive. Second group of people, non-responsive. These are people who actively don't like it, they lean away, they change the topic of conversation, they're just clearly not into what you're putting out. The third category, though, is neutral. And these are people who just seem a polite interest. They're not leaning in, they're not leaning out. And the challenge is, I think a lot of us can confuse neutral for interested. Just because they're not saying, oh, that sounds terrible, we can assume it means that they're interested. And what that creates is a dynamic where a lot of holistic practitioners will think, oh my gosh, my sort of pipeline of potential clients is so full. There's so many people who seem interested in what I do. And my colleague Ari Galper talks about that as hopium. People get hooked on hopium, and it's kind of addictive because we keep hoping that things are going to work out. But in reality, what happens is the people who are neutral end up sort of leaning towards being unresponsive. We think that neutral people are often responsive, or we hope they're going to lean that way, but usually they, in the end, lean towards unresponsive. And if you think about neutral clients or neutral potential clients, the people in your life who seem like maybe they might become clients, those people are like the white blood cells in your business. And a lot of white blood cells means you're sick. And the sickness, in a business sense, has to do with vulnerability and a lack of vulnerability. Often what happens is, out of a desire to please everybody and be everything to everybody, practitioners will ironically not be very vulnerable and honest about how they see the world, what they're good at, what they're not good at, the kind of work they want to do, the kind of people they most want to work with, because they don't want to lose anything, and the willingness to be vulnerable and to say, no, this is how I see healing. This is my point of view on that. These are the types of people I work with. These are the types that I don't. Here's what I'm great at. Here's what I'm honestly terrible at. That willingness to be vulnerable will help polarize people. You will get fewer and fewer and fewer neutral clients when you're really honest and vulnerable. The vulnerability can also be just naming, being really clear about who you are in the world. A lot of times people try to be very neutral themselves, and they try to, I don't want to offend anyone, I don't want to rock the boat, so they dress very normal. But if you are willing to actually step out and let your freak flag fly a little bit, you might notice more people come to you. If it's a nutritionist, a very neutral position might be, all dietary perspectives have value. But somebody and they'll get a lot of neutral responses. But you could also come out and say, you know what, I think a meat-based diet is terrible, and that's why I support vegan. Or you might say, I think a vegan diet is a huge mistake, and we should be eating the primal diet, and have a very clear, honest, vulnerable position. And it's vulnerable because when we say it, we're giving people a chance to reject us, and that's what we want, actually, is to give people a huge chance to reject us quickly, so that we don't invest a lot and get hooked on the hopium. So being more vulnerable, more honest about what we do, what we don't do, who we are, what we value, how we see the world is huge. The second blunder that I see a lot of people making has to do with not making it safe enough for people to approach them. So imagine this. You are somebody dealing with a health issue, and it's scary. It's chronic, you haven't been able to resolve it, maybe you've gone to medical doctors, they haven't had any idea, and you go to a holistic practitioner. I promise you, and if you've been through this, you know the feeling. There's a lot of shame often associated with it. It's kind of scary. You don't want to be let down and disappointed again. There's a lot at stake. And so when they're looking at who to work with, it's a scary situation. And what we can do, which is so rarely done, is to make it very safe for them to get to know us and to check us out. And here's the sort of most obvious example. On your website, Do you have a really well-written bio? If you don't, I would check out byebyeboringbio.com. One of my colleagues, Nancy Jutton. Is your homepage really friendly? I would check out pinkelephantcommunications.com. They've got a great ebook called How to Write a Lovable Homepage. Do they have ways to get to know you? Are there videos where you share your points of view on things? Videos of you actually doing your work with people? Are there videos of you doing a workshop or a talk or a lecture or giving tips? Any way that they can meet you and get to know you, the better. Are there actually pictures of you that are current, that are warm and friendly, or give off the vibe that your business has? I see this all the time where it's really not safe to approach people. You go to their website, it's very cold, it's very sterile, it's just about the business, and you don't get a chance to know them or how they see the world. And so it's a little bit scary and unknown to approach and get to know them. This is why doing free talks is such a winning strategy for most holistic practitioners, because people actually get to meet you. And it doesn't mean they're going to work with you. I might actually guarantee they never work with you, but because we're being vulnerable. When we're doing a talk, we're actually going out there, putting ourselves out there, and they get a chance to get to know us. And if you do a talk that is very opinionated, because most of us actually are opinionated if we're really honest about it and vulnerable about it. We do have clear thoughts on things. If you do that kind of a talk, people will polarize one way or the other, which is very useful for marketing because it saves you a lot of time and emotional heartache every time somebody you thought was going to become a client doesn't become a client. So you want to make it as safe as possible. This is why also having an email list is great, because people can sign up, hear about you, over time. That's why a blog can be so great. People can just read your thoughts on things. That's why social media is such a powerful tool too, if you think about it, is it can build safety. Somebody could follow you on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and just by the nature of the stuff that you share and you post, people will really get a sense of you. And I've had people offer to co-author books just based on like what I was posting on social media. I've had a number of people say, wow, yeah, I came to your workshop because I've been following you for years and I love what you post, and it just gave me a sense and a vibe of you. And it builds safety. And this is so overlooked by so many people. We make it very unsafe for people to ever approach us. This is why offering free samples of what you do is such a powerful tool as well, whether that's online or written, or a free 15-minute reflexology treatment, because it lowers the risk of taking that first step. And that first step is so much riskier than we think it is for people. And whatever you can do to lower the risk by offering a free sample, giving a guarantee, offering free information online, free talks, even just going to events, networking events, and meeting people where you get to connect with them one-on-one, that lowers the risk because now they know you, they've met you, they feel safe with you. And the wonderful thing is if you go to those networking events, you don't have to be selling or pushing or hyping anything. You just have to be connecting with people and treating people as if they were already in a session with you and giving them that kind of attention and focus and presence. And that builds safety. There's so many ways to do it. But so to recap, don't try to be everything to everybody. Be willing to be vulnerable. And number 2, make it very safe for people to check you out, ideally at a distance where they never ever have to talk to you at all. So I think that's it. Those are my 2 main thoughts. If you want to learn more about my work, you can go to marketingforhippies.com, but I hope you enjoy the rest of the sessions from all the other experts. Thanks.